Right then, with spring on the way now, and the weather moving in a more kind of clement direction, we are thinking about getting that barbecue and garden furniture out and even taking our work outside. Here to tell me more, we have one of the most respected, renowned psychologists in the UK today, Dr. Linda Papadopoulos, with me to discuss what lies ahead for the garden in the coming months. So, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me on the syndicated show with me, Danny. And I'm going to ask you, a start for 10, does being outside, is it good for your physical and mental well-being as opposed to being faced, with these four walls?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a word, yes. And look, I think it's one of those things that we all know. We all know that we have sayings that get out and clear your head. Get some fresh air. This is something that people kind of know instinctually, but also from a scientific point of view, we know that being out in the sun means that your things like melatonin's more balanced, your circadian rhythms are, which means that you sleep better. And if you sleep better, we know that you're less likely to kind of feel sort of the effects of very low mood and depression. We know it kind of feeds into a sense of well-being. We also know that the endorphins that you get from going from a walk, or even the vitamin D from sunlight, all feed in to a greater sense of well-being and indeed productivity as well, and creativity. So I think absolutely, and that's what we've been doing. Sort of we did this piece of research with Lenovo and Qualcomm, and basically we're asking people, what are you planning to do in terms of working from home? And about a half said, no, as soon as the weather's better, we want to work in the garden.
Yes, you mentioned half there, 50%. Home workers are planning on going al desco, so that coming from al fresco, I guess, by moving their laptop into their garden where the weather improves, hopefully. What's your take on this, bringing your work outside?
Look, I think this is something that I've been discussing for a while now. I think it's not going to be business as usual when the world comes back on. I don't think we're going to have 5 days. Some people will, but I think the majority will have a hybrid between working from home and working in an office, right? And given that, I think we need to start thinking about working from home in a more nuanced way. So in a serious note, we had, again, almost half people saying that their mental health was affected more with this lockdown than any of the other two previously. And part of that is sort of that darkness, not, your commute being the 30 seconds from your bedroom to, wherever you are inside. So I do think thinking a bit more sort of critically around, okay, well, if I am outside, how will that help my productivity? Will it mean that kind of it'll boost my mood, my sense of well-being? And is this something I can do? And actually what we're seeing is technology companies responding to this. So people like Lenovo are saying, great, let's build laptops that sort of last longer, or like have 5G, so you'll need Wi-Fi. We're soon, I'm sure, going to have people talking about sort of comfortable chairs that don't hurt your backs outside, all of these things, because I think we are going into this new era where there's going to be more bespoke situations for how we work.
And just a train of thought come to me actually. One of the advantages working from home, you're going to save a fortune on transport costs, tube tickets and what have you. But that's by the way. I wanted to ask: the back garden has topped the list of outdoor spaces workers prefer to be in ahead of the beach and the outdoor office. So home is certainly where the heart is. It looks.
It does. And look, I think, again, we also need to kind of encourage people to not become comfortable in their sort of discomfort as well. I think there has been a real sense that the more we've avoided going out, the harder it's become. So I was delighted to hear that people are kind of starting to think about kind of that garden as sort of that extension of being outside. Because I think to me, it's sort of the next step to kind of re-engaging with the world, right? Sort of subliminally, there's a real difference. Even though you're still at home in your garden, you are outside. You are kind of more open to what's out there.
Thanks for that one. And so you mentioned the back garden being a very popular place to be in. It's closer and close, isn't it? It's now a good time for people to prepare their patio, their garden for the vernal months ahead. Even gardening can be therapeutic, can't it?
Absolutely. I think anything that takes you outside, and I think, look, a lot of people listening to this won't have a garden, to work out. But again, I do think that should stop you from going for a walk, from taking your work to a local park, to sitting down. This really isn't just about the garden. This is more about being outdoors, seeing if you can do some of your work outdoors, because we're spending so much time working now. So even if it is taking your laptop and kind of brainstorming on it in a lovely bench at a park, or answering a few phone calls while you're not stuck inside, I think that's key.
And I just want to add, I live in kind of like a communal apartments, and we've got a communal garden, and not any of my residents actually use a communal garden, and that is quite surprising how people don't take advantage of their surroundings.
It is. It is. I do think that we've basically had government sanctioned avoidance for the last year. Avoid people, avoid going out, avoid engaging. And the more you avoid, the more anxious you become about doing the thing you've avoided for so long. So I do think the message is absolutely, if you can, get out there.
And 60% have felt trapped being stuck indoors during these winter months. Could it be that cabin fever or symptoms of cabin fever could be present in some people because of this factor?
Yeah, look, I do. I think people like this is, that word that was banded around, unprecedented. It really was. There was never a time that in people's living memory that you were told to do the thing that was most natural, to live life, to engage with people. So the whole cabin fever comes from the fact that we felt guilty about doing it, we thought we were doing something wrong. So now as the world slowly opens, I think, venturing out for our walks, working from our gardens, speaking, seeing our friends when we can, absolutely do it. Even if it feels uncomfortable to start off with, we need that re-engagement.
And you did mention going outside, just getting that breath of fresh air. You feel more positive and productive as well.
You really do, don't you? Absolutely.
And flexibility as well. Working from home, people working from home, they've been allowed that flexibility. Maybe go out on that extra little bit of a lunch break.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think flexibility is wonderful. And again, I think it'll depend on your job, on your personality, on your environment. But I think whatever it is, making sure that part of that flexibility is kind of getting outdoors, making the most of kind of your world, even if it's smaller at the moment, is critical.
And finally, with April the 12th being quite a milestone for cafes and restaurants and beer gardens opening up, that'll be a good thing for us as we are certainly not programmed to be cooped up.
I think April the 12th is gonna, yeah, be a wonderful day. A wonderful day.
And on my interviews, I always try and live on a positive note. But thanks, Dr. Linda Papadopoulos, talking to me today about the garden and how we can make the most of it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Lovely to speak to
yeah,
you, Danny.
lovely to see you again. Bye for now. Take care.
Bye.